India is a climatic country which has got multiple types of factors that are governing its environment. CBRN, that is chemical, biological, radiological, and the nuclear factor. This is the drought-prone area. The climatic conditions reports are being told about. But what happens here is that if you look into the factor here, less moisture in the soil, the scarcity of water. Good morning and welcome to the first session of Unit 4, and in this we are going to talk about the disaster risk management in India's hazard and vulnerability report altogether. This is going to be the India's risk profile altogether. All of us might have thought about that our country is actually risk-free. Our country does not have any kind of risk. But is that true? The answer to that lies in this session. So let's go forward and try to understand what is the risk profile of India. And the first thing is that the Indian subcontinent has got a unique geoclimatic and socio-political conditions that makes it vulnerable both to natural as well as man-made disaster. Now, this sounds quite weird, quite amazing, quite surprising for us, but the fact remains that India is a climatic country which has got multiple types of factors that are governing its environment and its socio-political culture. Needless to say, India is the largest democracy in the world and has got more than thousands of political parties which are involved in terms of governing the state, governing the country altogether. So, is it because of these factors India get into the vulnerability? Or is it because of the point that India is trying to do something or it has forgotten in terms of protecting itself? What is the challenge? What is the factor that lies behind? The truth is that around 6% of India's population is impacted annually, exposure to disaster. Now look at that, 6% of India's population. That means roughly about, let's say, 8 crore people in India are impacted in terms of the factors of disaster. They are impacted because of the disaster management coming in different ways, in different manner altogether. But then that is the most, the truth that is being now revealed to our citizens, because we have now realized that yes, there are certain things which we have forgotten to do. We need to rebuild India. We need to make it even more stronger, even more successful, and even more fortified in nature. Now, moving forward, the key natural disasters include your flood, droughts, cyclone, earthquakes, landslide, avalanches, which have resulted in the loss of life as well as the livelihoods. Now, when you look into the profile of India, it is a country that is subjected to almost every single kind of natural disaster. And when you look into this map, to the diagram here, you will be able to see that India has been subjected to all these kind of factors. We have read about it in the newspaper, we have seen it in the news channel, and we have read about it in so many other states and other factors saying that what has been happening to India so many years. Why has there been a flood? Why has there been an earthquake? Or why there has been some natural disasters which has been happening in our country? The answer to this is the vulnerability report that has been predicted and that has been given according to the Planning Commission, which says very, very clearly that the coastal states, particularly the East Coast, Gujarat, West Coast, are vulnerable to cyclones. So now let's start with the coastal part of India, which is actually subjected to most of the kind of factors, that's a natural calamities. Starting here, if you look, 4 crore hectare landmass is vulnerable to flood and river erosion, or for example, the rivers coming into the land factor altogether. Why is this happening? India never took about this factor seriously, that how we need to protect people who live in the coastal part. We just believe that the storms or the cyclones come and go, and this is going to be quite natural in terms of looking forward. So there is not going to be a much of activity that is happening, a much of factor that has been happening altogether. But then let's understand that the coastal areas are the most dangerous areas that always are subjected to some or the other kind of risk. Now, starting here, if you look, 4 crore hectare land mass, that's a huge amount of land mass that is being responsible, that is needed for the farming, that's needed for livelihood, that is getting completely eroded because of the disaster management, because of the floods, because of all those factors. So that means India is losing a lot on the land which is actually sustainable, which can be used for some other useful purpose. But then we are losing out this which is subjected because of the carelessness of a man-made disasters, or carelessness that we have not taken into account how to protect ourselves. Followed by 68% of net sown area is vulnerable to drought. Now you know why the prices of food materials in India are going up to a very great extent. Now you know that many a times, though India is capable of self-sufficiency, India is capable of producing the best kind of agricultural products, but still we are being stuck with the factor that there is drought, there is not enough food available for so many people. Millions of people in India die because of food, because of the factor that the non-availability of food that is being given, that is being shown to them. Now, the next important thing is that 55% of the total area is in seismic zone. So that means to say, are we subjected to earthquake? The factor is yes, we are subjected to earthquake. We are living in those kind of zones. And the sub-Himalayan and the Western Ghat are vulnerable to landslide. So one fine morning, you can just see that the land surrounding the sub-Himalayan and the Western Ghat will just slide down and come towards us. With all this vulnerability, what has India done to protect itself? What has India done in terms of making it stronger? So that is the most important factor here. So that's what we talk about: vulnerability to disasters and emergencies of chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear. Now what we call it as CBRN, that is chemical, biological, radiological and the nuclear factor. Origin has increased on the account of socio-economic development. So one side, when we are speaking about development, we also need to be 100% true about the factor that we are also destroying the environment on the other side. The changing climate has also got a lot of vulnerabilities that's coming up. The occurrence of heat waves, cold waves that are coming in, floods and droughts, and intense change in terms of the cyclone, flash flood, all the climatic changes are making a huge difference altogether, which is subjecting us to every kind of natural disaster. Moving forward, this is India's hazardous profile. What we are trying to talk about, the India's hazard profile. Now, if you see here, all these yellow areas that are being marked are the ones which are prone to drought. So I would say that this is the drought-prone area. Now, if you start looking into areas like the blue zones, what I would like to mark up, the blue zones that you are seeing here, these are all the flood-prone area. So if I try to make you understand about the flood factor, yes, they are the flood-prone area altogether. And if you start here, this is another vulnerability factor which we are talking about, the hot desert climate altogether. And we also need to look about the cold desert part, which is very limited to this area, the cold waves altogether. So now if you look into India's map, you will be shocked to find out that our own country, our own subcontinent, is it so much vulnerable to the natural disasters? And the answer is yes, because every corner, if you are able to see that there are some factors that are affecting the geographical conditions of India. Not to forget, the eastern part of India is subjected to a lot of cold waves and cold factors that comes into picture. With all these things, somewhere down the line, India has to change. India has to bring in a lot of disaster management policy in action so that it can save the country and people altogether. Moving forward, let's talk about floods. Floods can be caused by heavy rainfall, inadequate capacity in terms of managing the rivers. Now you can see the picture here that has been shown. You will be able to see that all of a sudden the entire state, the entire country, the entire part where people are living are completely surrounded by water. You can just have a look into the picture here. You will be able to see that houses are getting completely drowned, and this is probably happening. Why? Because there is not enough land to block it. Slippage of the soil, the river just gushing through your towns and the city, drowning all the housing, and this is one of the most dangerous situations that you can see. That why? Because people living in this complex, in the structures, in this house will not be able to come out. They are just stuck. They do not know how to come out of it, and once, even if they come out of this, they have to lose their livelihood. They have to lose their homes altogether. So flood is a very big disaster that anybody can ever think about. And what happens is that when this flash floods occur because of high rate of water flow, that what you are able to see here, automatically what happens is that it just tries to gush down and it just takes down the land factor. There's absolutely no chance for anybody to just revive and come back from there. About 40 million hectare of land mass in India is prone to that of floods, which means to say that 75% of the annual total rainfall is concentrated on the short factor of the southwest monsoon, which is for 3 to 4 months from June to September. So definitely that is the season, that is the vulnerability factor that we are talking about, which is going to cause all these floods in terms of creating a very big natural disaster. Moving forward, the cyclonic factor. Probably you would have seen this image in the meteorological department and on the TV screens when the climatic conditions reports are being told about. But what happens here is that if you look into the factor here arising from Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea, Indian Ocean is one of the 6 major cyclone-prone regions of the world. Now, that is quite amazing and interesting for all of us to know. Indian Ocean is one among the 6 major zones. That means definitely we are in the top 10 of the country in the world where we are prone to disaster. In India, cyclones normally occur in April, May. This is not something like a timetable that's going to happen, but then we have been observing that it is happening in April, May, and also in October and December also. The eastern coastline is more prone, and about 80% of these cyclones are concentrated towards the eastern zone of India. And the worst hitting cyclones that we have seen is in the state of Andhra Pradesh. We have seen it in the state of Odisha, which happened in 1999 and in 1977, not to forget these 2 years, because they truly devastated the states altogether. Government of India had to take a lot of efforts to re-establish the state. And today you might have seen that even recently when Odisha had faced the cyclone altogether, more than 3 to 4 villages were completely battered. So cyclone is a very big natural disaster that causes a great amount of impact to the country. Moving forward, the drought, a very bad situation that I would like to talk about. When you look at droughts, you don't have absolutely any option. What is happening is that less moisture in the soil, the scarcity of water that is coming into picture. Now, this is one factor in India where I would like to say there are several states in India, starting from Rajasthan, Odisha, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh. These are specifically certain states in India where you see the consistent problem of droughts coming in. The reason is that moment we talk about droughts, moment we start talking about this kind of situation, this is happening because of the scanty rainfall, especially in these regions. Because of the scanty rainfall, what is happening is that agriculture gets completely disturbed and people are not able to move further, and this leads to the suicide of so many people because they're not able to continue their lifestyle. Many people are not able to get food and completely they get perished away because of this disaster. Moving forward, the earthquakes. Earthquakes is the most impossible to be predicted. That's one of the most important things that we need to know. It is impossible to be predicted and most destructive of all the natural disaster. We have to accept it because it is almost impossible to make arrangements and preparations against the damages and collapses of building, other man-made structures hit by an earthquake. More than half of India's total vulnerable is to seismic activity by varying intensity. So this is a quite interesting factor here to know that in spite of technology, in spite of so many factors, just look at the picture. The man is completely clueless of what has happened in that particular area. You suddenly see the roads being uprooted like trees. You suddenly see that entire land is being dislocated. The earth just opens up and you will be able to see that in a fraction of a second, the land, the mass, the car or any building in that zone is vanished. They've just gone down the earth. And we still do not have a technology that can go ahead and predict it and say that accurately that this is where it's going to happen. So earthquake is one of the most dangerous natural disaster that can completely put an end to the mankind. Followed by the landslides, quite common factor. Again, when you happen to see the diagram that has been posted there, you will be able to see the force at which it just gushes down the valley. It is able to see that the landslide is happening at a speed which cannot be just, comprehended by the normal human beings altogether. And this is something where you will be able to see that they comprise 7 curvilinear parallel folds. So, they have 7 folds like this which come forward towards you with a ground arc of 3,400 kilometers. Now, that is something impossible to just imagine or even visualize altogether, which is coming at you at that speed, which is coming at you with that diameter altogether. The landslides in this region are probably more frequent than any other areas in the world. So this is very, very common. Why? Because if you see here, especially the Himalayan range, that is one area which is prone for landslides across the country. Moving forward, tsunami, of course, one thing that has literally put the human mankind into a dangerous scenario is when tsunami occurs. Tsunami refers to the displacement of large volume of water bodies such as an ocean. Sudden disruption, you will be able to see that water just flowing inside. The sea is just coming inside right here into the land and you have an absolutely no control. This is an 800-meter wave height coming in just inside, dislocating the entire thing. People do not have any clue of how to go away and how to save. And this is one of the most biggest vulnerabilities that we have been talking of late. The east and west coast of India are likely to be affected by the tsunami that is being generated. Of course, Andaman, Nicobar, Sumatra Island arc and the Makran substitution which happens in the South Arabian Sea also is one of the most important factors that we can know about in terms of tsunami altogether. So these are all the zones which are prone for some kind of serious dangers, and tsunami is something, again, we have no clue about it. It's just the displacement that happens under the sea and then the wave just comes again and hits the village or the town altogether. Now, the heat waves and cold waves, these are something which we are seeing off late in the northern part as well as in the southern part of India. Why? Because these are being felt either due to the extreme climates or the extreme summers that have been happening in our country. The fatalities have been increasing, especially because of the heat wave in the recent decades. And there's also been fatalities because of the cold waves that has also been seen in India. Several times in India where you will see an inclusion of dry cold winds coming in, and most affected areas in our country is due to the western and the northwestern regions, especially Bihar, UP, directly affected by the western disturbances. So these are other factors which you will be able to see that because of a dry cold or an extreme cold weather, you can see how people are struggling to go back to their homes or to their office, and there's a huge amount of fatalities that can happen altogether. Moving forward, with this, we come to the end of this session. I hope and believe that this session was highly informative, helpful, and resourceful for you in terms of knowledge. In the upcoming sessions, we will be talking about the Disaster Management Act, its policy, and various other constituents. Until then, stay tuned, stay blessed, and stay enlightened forever. Thank you once again for joining me on this wonderful session.